You're about to speak up in a meeting and your throat closes. Your hands are shaking, your mind goes blank, and everyone's waiting. You rehearsed what you'd say 3 times in your head, but now the words feel stupid, obvious, wrong. So you stay quiet. And now you're replaying the silence, convinced everyone noticed you freezing, judging you for not contributing. You walk into a room and immediately feel like you're being watched. You adjust your shirt, check your hair, wonder if you're standing weird. You're hyper-aware of every movement, where your hands are, how you're holding your face, whether your laugh sounded forced. And now you're so focused on managing how you appear that you've completely lost track of the actual conversation. If everyone's thinking about themselves, why does it feel like they're all focused on you? If you know logically that nobody cares, why does your body react like you're under a microscope? You think you're just anxious. You think you lack confidence, that you're too self-conscious, that everyone else moves through the world without this constant self-monitoring. But what if this isn't a personality flaw? What if your brain is grossly miscalculating how much attention you're actually receiving? And what if, right now, this miscalculation is literally preventing you from living your life? If you could see how wrong your brain's math actually is, would you still trust its assessment of how much people are watching you? The truth is, your brain didn't evolve to assess social attention accurately. It evolved to overestimate it. Because in our ancestral environment, the cost of underestimating social scrutiny was rejection, isolation, death. The cost of overestimating it? Just some unnecessary anxiety. So your brain chose the safer bet. Assume you're being watched, judged, evaluated at all times. Better to be hypervigilant and survive than relaxed and ostracized. But here's what changes everything when you understand this. The spotlight you feel isn't real. It's a survival algorithm running in a world that no longer requires it. Your nervous system is protecting you from a threat that doesn't exist. And today, that's exactly what we're going to dismantle, step by step, starting with one simple awareness that takes 10 seconds to practice. We'll look at the 3 ways the spotlight effect hijacks your behavior. We'll understand the neuroscience that explains why your brain miscalculates attention so dramatically. And then I'll give you 5 research-backed strategies that work even in the moments when you're convinced everyone's staring. By the end, you'll know how to catch the spotlight effect before it freezes you. You'll have language for what's happening in your nervous system. And you'll have practices you can use in real time, in meetings, at parties, anywhere the imaginary spotlight turns on. This isn't about becoming fearless. It's about seeing clearly when your brain is lying to you about how much you actually matter to other people. And once you see it clearly, the spotlight loses most of its power. Your brain is convinced it's the center of every scene it enters. Not because you're narcissistic, because evolution wired you to assume you're always on stage. But when psychologist Thomas Gilovich at Cornell designed an experiment to test whether this feeling matches reality, what he found was staggering. He had students wear embarrassing t-shirts to class, shirts with Barry Manilow's face on them, which participants rated as highly embarrassing. Then he asked them to estimate how many classmates noticed the shirt. Students predicted about 50% would remember it. The actual number? Less than 25%. Your brain doubles the attention you think you're receiving. The spotlight you feel is literally twice as bright as reality. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute tracked this phenomenon across cultures and found the same pattern. Humans universally overestimate how much others notice them, remember them, and think about them. What you're experiencing isn't personal weakness. It's a species-wide perceptual error. This is what you've been up against. Not just anxiety, not just low confidence. A fundamental miscalculation in how your brain assesses social attention. You can see this in your own life. You're in a conversation and you say something that sounds wrong the moment it leaves your mouth. Your face flushes, your stomach drops, and you spend the rest of the interaction replaying that sentence, analysing it, hating yourself for it. You're convinced everyone noticed, that they're thinking about it, that it confirmed something negative about you. But here's what research shows. They've already moved on. Psychologist Kenneth Savitsky found that when people make social mistakes, they believe others will remember those mistakes far longer than they actually do. What feels like a spotlight moment to you is barely a flicker of attention to everyone else. Then there's the physical self-monitoring. You walk into a party and immediately become hyper-aware of your body. Are you standing awkwardly? Is your posture weird? Did you just make a strange face? You're scanning yourself constantly, adjusting, correcting, managing, and now you're so focused on how you look that you're not present for the actual experience. This is your brain treating normal existence like a performance. Gilovich calls this the illusion of transparency, the feeling that your internal state is visible to everyone when it's actually invisible. You think your anxiety shows. You think everyone can see you're uncomfortable. Research shows they can't. What feels glaringly obvious to you is completely hidden to everyone else. And here's the pattern most people never notice. The more you try to manage how you appear, the more self-conscious you become. You're creating the very thing you're trying to avoid. You think monitoring yourself will help you appear normal, but the monitoring itself is what makes you feel abnormal. This isn't happening because you're broken. This is the spotlight effect, an evolutionary survival mechanism that's misfiring in modern social situations. But why does this work this way? Your brain has a region called the medial prefrontal cortex that's constantly asking, how am I being perceived right now? In genuinely threatening social situations, like our ancestors being evaluated by the tribe, this mechanism kept you alive. If the group was watching you critically, you needed to know. You needed to adjust, comply, prove your value. But here's what neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA discovered. This system doesn't differentiate between high-stakes tribal evaluation and casual modern interaction. Walking into a coffee shop activates the same "am I being watched?" circuitry as walking into a room where your survival depends on group acceptance. Your brain treats a work meeting like a tribal council deciding whether to keep you or exile you. It treats a party like a life or death status evaluation. The intensity of the response hasn't updated to match the actual stakes. Then there's what psychologists call egocentric bias, your brain's natural tendency to view the world from your own perspective and assume others share it. When you're thinking intensely about yourself, your brain assumes others are too. When you notice your own mistakes, you assume everyone else did. This isn't narcissism. It's a cognitive limitation. Your brain struggles to accurately model other people's attention because it's trapped inside your skull, experiencing everything through your lens. And here's what amplifies all of this: memory bias. Gilovich found that when people experience embarrassing moments, they remember them more vividly and frequently than anyone else does. What you think was a defining moment that everyone witnessed and remembers is actually stored only in your memory. You're replaying something no one else even encoded. This is what you've been up against. Not a character flaw, a nervous system designed for a different world, combined with cognitive biases that overestimate attention and memory systems that preserve your social mistakes far longer for you than for anyone else. But the moment you realize this, something shifts. The spotlight isn't gone, but you can see it for what it is: a perceptual error, a miscalculation, your brain doing outdated math. And when you see it clearly, you can stop believing it. Here's how. Start with the simplest awareness. Notice when the spotlight feeling activates. When your throat tightens before speaking, when you suddenly become aware of your body, when you replay something you just said. Pause for 5 seconds and name it. Spotlight effect. That's it. You're not fighting it. You're just seeing it. Psychologist Emily Balcetis at NYU found that simply labeling cognitive distortions reduces their intensity. The moment you name the spotlight effect, you create distance from it. You're no longer the anxiety. You're the person observing the anxiety. And that shift changes everything. Then practice the attention redirect. When you catch yourself monitoring how you appear, deliberately shift focus outward. What color are the walls? What's the temperature in the room? What expression is on the face of the person talking? You're not suppressing the spotlight feeling. You're redirecting the attentional spotlight onto literally anything else. Stanford psychologist Jamil Zaki found that attention is a limited resource. When you're focused outward, on the environment, on others, there's less capacity left for self-focused rumination. You can't simultaneously monitor yourself and be fully present. The spotlight dims naturally when attention is occupied elsewhere. Here's the language reframe that makes the biggest difference. Replace "everyone is watching me" with "everyone is thinking about themselves," because Gilovich's research proves this is true. When you walk into a room convinced all eyes are on you, statistical reality is that everyone else is worried about how they appear to you. They're not watching your performance, they're managing their own. Try this right now. Think of the last social situation where you felt self-conscious. Now try to remember one specific thing any other person said or did. Can you? Probably not clearly, because you are too busy monitoring yourself. That's what everyone else is doing too. They're not watching you, they're worried about whether you're watching them. Another powerful practice: deliberately make small social mistakes. Say something mildly awkward, pause too long before responding, wear something slightly unconventional, then watch what happens, which is usually nothing. Research by Carol Tavris shows that intentional exposure to minor social imperfection recalibrates your brain's threat assessment. When you discover that small mistakes don't produce the catastrophic judgment you fear, the spotlight effect weakens. Finally, practice the temporal perspective shift. When you're convinced everyone will remember this moment forever, ask, will this matter in a week? Research by Daniel Gilbert at Harvard shows we massively overestimate how long others think about our actions. What feels monumentally memorable to you will be forgotten by tomorrow. Not because people don't care about you, because their brains are busy managing their own experiences, not cataloguing yours. The goal isn't to stop caring what people think. The goal is to stop wildly overestimating how much they're thinking about you. You're not going to eliminate the spotlight feeling entirely, and you don't need to. You just need to catch it when it activates. Name it. Redirect attention. Remember the math. Your brain is doubling the attention you're actually receiving. What makes this hard is that the spotlight feeling is immediate and visceral, while the truth, that you're barely being watched, is abstract and intellectual. Your nervous system shouts, "Everyone is staring," while reality whispers, "Actually, no one noticed." But every time you practice these shifts, you're teaching your brain new math. You're recalibrating the attention assessment system. You're proving to your nervous system that the threat it's detecting isn't real, and slowly the spotlight dims. So here's what I want you to try this week. Pick one situation where the spotlight effect usually activates. Notice it, name it, redirect your attention outward. Then, afterward, ask someone if they noticed the thing you were anxious about. Watch them look confused because they have no idea what you're talking about. What would it feel like to move through the world knowing that most of what you think people notice about you, they don't? What would you say if you weren't calculating how it would be received? What would you try if you weren't performing for an audience that isn't actually watching? The spotlight isn't real, but your life is, and it's happening right now, whether you're frozen in the imaginary light or finally stepping into the actual room where nobody's watching as closely as you think. Which one are you choosing today?